Good morning, my friends. Good morning. Welcome to First Unitarian Church in New Bedford. I am Reverend Karen LeBlanc. I minister to this congregation as we minister to each other here. We are people creating beloved community at First UUNB, and we believe in practicing and promoting the Unitarian Universalist values of justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity in our congregation, and that those values always spring from the love at the center that guides us all. We are people of purpose in this church. We work to make sure everyone feels welcome in this meeting house, and if what you hear today resonates with you, we hope you'll consider becoming part of this way cool family of seekers and keepers of this long dream. First Unitarian in New Bedford recognizes that the land we inhabit and enjoy sits on the unceded ancestral land of the Wampanoag. We give respect to the people of the First Light and their ancestors, and we honor them here in this church. A few housekeeping notes. If you are new here, a visitor, you want to be on our mailing list, you can sign this blue card. That will sign you up for that. Also, if you've been here for a while and you'd like to become a member, we will be having our new member service next week, so please let me know so we can get you signed up for that. No pressure. We don't proselytize here. But I do hope you'll join us next week for that service so that we can, which is hosted by our Board of Trustees, by the way, so we can be here to support all the people who are going to sign our book officially. Join us for coffee hour after the service, and real special treat today. there's a special performance by the Wicked Queer Puppet Theater of a performance of a play that they have titled Dream World. We could all use a little dream world today. So that is at 12:30 up in TriWorks. Please join us. It's going to be great. We are live streaming today as usual. Good morning to our friends online. And if you'll please put your phones in worship mode, we will begin by lighting our chalice. Who we got? Kaylee? Come on down, my little goddess. In honor of Black History Month, we light our chalice this morning, and we may have to fight to keep that alive in order to make sure Black history is even a thing in the future. Don't get me started today. As we light this flame of hope, may our congregation become a kaleidoscope of souls and people, an abstract, flame-like pattern in bright gold colors and a black background. In the presence of this flame, in me, in you, in us, is an invitation to sit at the table. May we tend our soul fire through these challenging and trying times, to open the hearts and minds of all who enter these doors. Now let's get up today and have a quick moment of movement. We're going to do a little different sort of moment of movement today because I think we all need this. We're just going to take one deep breath in, and then we're going to let out just a collective scream. All right, sit down. Thank you. I don't know if you needed that. I needed that. Good job. You were. We should have had you lead us, Alec. Thank you. All right, our opening words. The New Colossus by Emma Lazarus, which of course is the poem written on our Statue of Liberty. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs, astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. And now please rise, my friends. Sing with me our first hymn, number 346, 346. Come sing a song with me. rose in the winter time. take the time to greet one another and say good morning. And please stay on your feet if you would. Now, if you will remain standing, we're going to read our covenant together, and that is printed in your order of service. We come together as a religious community, upholding freedom of conscience, right relationship, and the inherent worth of all people. We value our diversity and pledge to care for one another in the spirit of compassion, to speak and listen to each other with respect, and to promote justice and kindness in the world. Have a seat.
I just wanted to first say, every time I read that covenant, because I'm a high school teacher, and sometimes when my students are like getting a little off-kiltered, I just take out the, the religious community part, and I just start reciting this. It sounds like so like serious and good, and they're like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, yeah. So you never know when your covenant needs to come into play in your everyday mind, which hopefully you live and breathe it. Okay, so this is a fun little story. I was going to use the puppet, but I decided I didn't want anyone to think that, oh, she's using a puppet only for one and not the other, and then that wouldn't really represent equity. So I lost the puppet, and we were just going for it. This is called Milk and Sugar. Long, long ago, the Persians, which is modern-day Iran, Iraq, and other countries, they fled from their homeland during a time of war and set out to save themselves and their religious faith, kind of like what's happening now still. They landed in Sanjan, a port in the Indian state of Gujarat, and the king, Jadhav Rana, was the ruler of the land, and a good one at that. But he knew his land was full, and he could not let them enter. And the king and his court went to meet the Persians when they landed, and they found out, guess what? They didn't really speak the same language, so no one really knew what was going on or what they were saying to each other. So, to welcome the strangers and to communicate that the land was already filled and this could not be their new home, he said, well, let me just give you a glass of milk, very full. As you can see, this is a nice gesture. We are overflowing. Right? Up to the rim with the rich taste of brim. The king pointed to it as a way of saying, we just can't accommodate you. And the Zoroastrian piece immediately got the message and said, yeah, you're right. We are such peace-loving people. We wanted to send back a message to say we understand, but let us give you this because we can help you make your land prosperous. Our values are so good. Our people are so sweet. Our language, our hard work, that guess what? They did a little of this. Sugar, swirled it up, and sent it back, and said, the priest dissolved the sugar in the milk, and his message was very clear. Like sugar and milk, our presence in your country will sweeten your lives. King Jahad Rana was so impressed with this gesture that he granted them asylum, and he welcomed them with gifts, and he helped settle them in the new land of India. And so while they settled and assimilated, they blend in just like sugar and milk. How sweet and simple it can be. So we're gonna go off to Sunday school, and we're gonna talk about how sweet it is and become, for the moment, marketing directors for the dream world presentation that's going to occur at 12:30. Don't you worry, we'll have tickets, posters, and flyers. See you there. May the words we say be kind and true. May love be a guide in all I do. May kindness sing within my heart, and may peace be with us all where we are.
All right, kids, I expect great things. So this is usually the time in our service where we light candles of joys and concerns, and I open it to everyone. This section went over 20 minutes last week, and we have a long program today, and I'd really like to see this puppet show. So we are going to keep this today to me because I have a great sorrow and a great joy for this congregation. The great sorrow is that our friend Lisa Reagander passed this morning. 60 years old. I have known her for almost 30 years. I will miss her so much. This world is so, there's a big hole in this world without Lisa here. So I'm going to light our first candle for her. And our second candle, to give us some joy, is that 1 week ago today, a new baby was born into this congregation. Kara and Colin had little baby Gwendolyn Lorraine. So welcome to the world, Gwendolyn, and we can't wait to meet you in this congregation. All of our love to her parents and to little Billy, her sister, who was thrilled to meet her, I'm sure. And I will light 2 final candles, as is our practice there, one for all the joys and concerns that we keep in our hearts that went unspoken today, and one for everyone out there who desperately needs a supportive and loving community like this to share in. Our responsive reading this morning is number 576 in your gray hymnal. 576. And I will read the plain type. If you will answer with the italics. If, recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are black and I am white, if you are female and I am male, if you are older and I am younger, if you are progressive and I am conservative, if you are straight and I am gay, if you are Christian and I am Jewish, if we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. In this spirit, we build community and move toward restoration. Indeed. Now, as this is the beginning of Celtic pagan festival of Imbolc this week, and me being not only your minister here, but a priestess of the Tuatha De Danann who honors and serves Brigid, I felt the need to combine my powers, so to speak, in order to help us through these unprecedented times. So let us enter now into the spirit of prayer and meditation, taking a few deep breaths. This time of Imbolc, I call upon Lady Brigid, Lady of the Forge, whose wisdom binds my words. In the hearth of our hearts, we implore you to lend your eternal and unbounded strength to us in this time of great uncertainty and need. Mighty Brigid, keeper of the flame blazing in the darkness of winter, O Goddess, we honor you, bringer of light, healer, exalted one. Bless us now, Hearth Mother, that we may be as fruitful as the soil itself, and our lives abundant and fertile. Be the compassing of Brigid around these gathered people, keeping us in health and goodness, keeping us in joy and plenty, keeping us in life and hope, with great good will and happy fortune encircling us by night and by day. Be the cross of Brigid before us, be the cross of Brigid behind us, shining with a radiance that draws all spirits of love and right, bringing angels, allies, guardians, goddesses, and gods of light. The fiery sword of Brigid defend us, the mighty shield of Brigid protect us, the blessed cloak of Brigid enfold us, be the compassing of Brigid around us on this day and every day, through this night and every night, through the wheel of the seasons, in the dark and the light. O Brigid, spread above our heads your mantle bright to guard us all. In the name of all that is good and right, may we be protected. So may it be. next reading is an excerpt from a book called This Here Flesh, Spirituality, Liberation, and the Stories That Make Us by Cole Arthur Riley. She says, exclusion operates by the same rule of mutuality as welcome, for it harms both the excluded and the excluder. If you are the hands of exclusion for long enough, you learn acceptance only at the hands of someone else's exile. You learn belonging as competition and not restoration. It's also a kind of restlessness, for the energy you expend forbidding others to walk through the door of community is only matched by the energy you expend competing to stay inside yourself. This is maybe more dangerous. No one ever perceives the doorkeeper as needing an invitation themselves. I'm going to push this over so I don't set myself on fire. And now, let us sing together. Please rise as you are. Willing and able, number 159, 159. Tony Ann, if we can have your help with this one.
Song of God of all created nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their lands and for mine.
Have a seat. And now is the time in our service where we ask you for your kind donations toward the many good works of this church. Eileen, thank you for your assistance. And we do have pledge season coming up very soon, so please be aware of that. And we thank you for your always kind and generous donations. give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. The Anti-Defamation League website says, in 1883, Emma Lazarus, deeply moved by an influx of immigrants from Eastern Europe, wrote a sonnet that gave voice to the Statue of Liberty. Originally a gift from France to celebrate our shared national struggles for liberty, the statue, thanks to Emma's poem, came to define us as a nation that welcomes immigrants. That rumbling sound you hear is Emma Lazarus rolling in her grave. In under 2 weeks, we have become a nation that hunts down immigrants and tempest tosses them off of our teeming shore, returning them to whatever wretched conditions they came from. The mother of exiles has had the glow of her welcoming beacon hand snuffed out by this administration. This month's Soul Matters theme is living love through the practice of inclusion, unless our new government somehow hears about it and shuts us down for flagrant DEI practices. That catch-all dog whistle is apparently to blame for everything from our children's reading scores to planes crashing from the sky. Our new president and cronies prefer the opposite. They want CIE, conformity, injustice, and exclusion. According to them, that is what is going to make us great again. Going back to the good old days where meritocracy meant rewarding the loudest white guy in the room and making sure that anyone who is other, those entitled people of color, women, LGBTQ folk, immigrants, and anyone with a disability, were kept voiceless in their lowlier places that they were appointed to by God and the natural order of things, right? Demonizing diversity, equity, and inclusion and wokeness is naked fear-mongering to keep power in power. And it has a long and storied history in this country that I will not re-preach to this choir today. As I was thinking about the theme of inclusion in writing this sermon, how it's such an important part of our Unitarian heritage, and such an important part of progress in our country, I was struck by the thought that maybe I need to talk about the cost of exclusion, because it's something I've been thinking about since our current president was elected the first time, and what I'll call the big divide started to go mainstream in this country. Basically, I've been trying to figure out in some logical way how the hell we got here, to this incredibly surreal version of reality where we just handed over power to those who already had it and just wanted more, and somehow made enough people believe that they were going to make it great for all of them, too, long enough for their vote to be counted, before they dismantle all the systems making America a democratic nation. And let me say, as much as it might be cathartic in a way to see people who voted for the leopards eating faces party cry when their faces are being eaten by leopards, it doesn't sit right to me. I don't want to see the whole thing come crashing down just so I can say, see, I told you so. That feels really hollow. And the leopards are eating our faces too, in case you haven't noticed. So what are we going to do? How are we going to change this? Essentially, I think this has to do with everyone desperately needing a sense of belonging and finding ways to achieve that. We humans have gathered in groups since time out of mind. And when people, for whatever reason, aren't included around the proverbial fire, they find a cold place to hunker down and wait, drawing warmth from their resentment. There are lots of folks who theorize that the reason himself ran for president the first time was because President Obama made fun of him in public at a White House Correspondents' Dinner, right? And between his money and connections, playing into long-held fears we progressives thought we were done with, and a lot of people, voters, who just wanted to feel seen and heard that we dismissed as ignorant or racist or old-fashioned, those people we excluded for whatever reason, he spoke to them like we couldn't. And here we are. Cole Arthur Riley, in her book, which I quoted from earlier, she says, "If you go without belonging for long enough, if you've known the sting of betrayal, you can end up manufacturing an identity from your alienation to protect yourself from the reminder and risk of exclusion. You begin initiating distance on your own, calling yourself independent or a loner. But a life lived with trust only in the self is exhausting." So people fall in with whomever will accept them, right? This is why people so readily embrace conspiracy theories and propaganda and develop an us against them mentality. Excuse me. Anyone here ever heard of the conspiracy theory birds aren't real? Anybody? I've known about it for years. And I laughed along with that joke, you know. But a link to a TED Talk that the creator of this conspiracy theory gave when he was included in our resources this month. And I watched it to see what really happened after he came out as having made it all up. His name's Peter McIndoe. He spent 4 years trying to create a conspiracy theory as a kind of comedic social experiment. Birds aren't real. He said that the US government murdered 12 billion birds over the course of about 40 years. And for each bird, a replica surveillance drone was made to replace it. They charge their batteries on power lines. They track civilians with liquid tracking devices. I bet you all have one on your car. And have any one of you ever seen a baby pigeon? No? Oh, yeah. He actively tried to deprogram the public from their false beliefs that birds are real by traveling around the country in a van that had these similar facts plastered all over it and about how we were all being duped. If it flies, it spies. That was one of his mottos. He held rallies and grew supporters by the day. He got 2,000 people to go out to Washington Square in New York to demand that the mayor shut down every pigeon in the city. But when it started to get national coverage and really actually went mainstream in 2021, and people started to take it seriously, he came clean to the New York Times and shut it down. So over those 4 years, he interacted with thousands of people who thought he was a real conspiracy theorist. And he said that time and time again, people would come up to me and tell me how stupid I am, that I was uneducated or crazy, and I was the problem with this country. And a funny thing happened. With all those attacks, he began to feel the emotions of his character instead of a guy playing that role. He said, I felt emboldened. I felt sad and angry, like they didn't even take the time to get to know me. They instantly condemned me, judged me, and othered me. But those people couldn't have been more ineffective at getting what they wanted, which I assume is fewer conspiracy theorists in the world. He said, it gave me an entirely new perspective on our approach to conspiracy theorists, whether it's how we frame them in the conventional media, to how we deal with those in our own lives. If our goal is to live in a shared reality with our neighbors, what if our current approach is not bringing us any closer to that? What if talking to conspiracy theorists like they're ignorant and stupid, we're actually pushing them further away from the truth that we want them to see? Because what happens when someone tells you you're stupid, you're wrong, you're the problem? You feel judged and dismissed. You feel othered, which may lead you to look for safety in those who are like-minded, to affirm your selfhood, your sense of identity, your belonging. Everyone's unique experience influences their own narrative about the world. So what if addressing belief before belonging, instead of sitting in a collective bewilderment at how people can believe these crazy things, we first looked under the hood and thought about what makes them vulnerable to that information in the first place. I'm sorry. What might they be getting out of this that they're not getting in their everyday lives? How much does it have to do with a different truth, or how much does it have to do with a community that the truth brings? We need to think about people's circumstances and reference points, to see them as fellow human beings who want to believe in something and want to belong. Because if we continue with our approach of arguing on the level of belief, it's not going to get us anywhere. We're going to end up with more echo chambers, more disinformation, and more polarization. Instead, we can do the harder work of looking into what's fueling the need for an alternate truth. Not only will this make us think differently for those who think differently from us, but I really think this might be the only actual productive means of moving toward a shared reality that we all want to live in. Let's direct our energy toward the crisis of belonging, and then maybe we'll understand the crisis of belief, unquote. I watched that video for fun, not really thinking that it was going to be valuable to what I wanted to say, because he's just a young goofball who did this weird project that I thought was about sticking it to those stupid people who believe crazy things. But his lived experience gave me more to think about inclusion and exclusion than any other resource I explored this month. He hit on exactly what I was trying to get to. We are all people with feelings that can be hurt and twisted into anger irrationally. And we ignore that basic tenet of humanity to our peril. You understand me? We ignore that to our peril. I understand that some of us have had to break with friends and family even over politics lately. And I get it. It's bloody exhausting. Two people are banging heads against either side of the same wall. And our dignity and our principles are on the line, right? And look, I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you and fight to my last breath against anyone who would bring harm to this community. Let's get that straight off the bat. But I will never, and I hope you will never, stop believing that most people, the ones not pulling the puppeteering strings into us, that are making us all believe we are enemies, most people are decent folk at heart and want what we want. Just to live peacefully, watch the kids grow up, smart and happy and fed with a roof over our heads, right? Excluding the other side, name-calling, I told you soing, and leaning into this default meanness we have developed isn't getting anyone anywhere. Hasn't worked for a long time, is not going to work in the future. It's played out, people. Might be a rush of feel-good for a minute, but it's hollow. It's so hollow, because the leopards are already eating our faces. So yeah, this is going to take more than marching and screaming into the void to change this weird timeline we are in. We're going to have to go back to that power of love that is central to all religions, right? That we talk about here every week, that we put our hands on our hearts for. The only thing that has ever really made a difference. Go ask Martin Luther King about that. I grew up being told that the answer to the question, what is God? God is love, right? And maybe that one thing is true. That it's love that will be our Savior in the end. That we are judged by how we love, and that we live by the grace of the love of others. Maybe we'll figure out that we had it right all along. We just called it different things and experienced it in different myriad ways. But in the end, when we lead with love instead of fear, we can accomplish miracles, right? So dry your tears, church, grab your socks, buck up, find a way to lead with love into this new reality that we are dealing with. I think it may be the only way we can save ourselves. Amen. Sure, we've got time for that last hymn. Let's do it, Randy. And now, if you will rise in body or spirit. Oh, I need a teal hymnal. This is your teal hymnal, number 1028. Oh, thanks, Lynn.
Night of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith's set freedom fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, where we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, meet to call us on our way. When we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
May you be invited to the party. May you be asked to dance. May you be amazed to learn that your own precious heart already knows and leaps to the song. And in this moment, whirling in the expansive affirmation of all creation, an embodiment of the divine's boundless love, may you turn and face the door, arms outstretched to sing in wide welcome the ever-changing song of togetherness to those who have yet to discover that they too belong here. Hold fast, my church. We love you. Stay strong. Live long and prosper. Go in peace. Let's go see a puppet show. All right, let's listen to our postlude first.